Hey everybody, it's Sunday and Amazon still makes deliveries, so please check both doors for your packages. Let's talk about the game.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And then the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
So by rule, the game is over.
The Lions hangover.
All right, well, no surprise. The Lions lose to Dallas in Dallas today with a score of 24-6. The Lions, there were some bright spots, though. Not many, but they start strong on defense. They hold Dallas to 2 3-and-outs on their first 2 opening drives. Hutchinson got his 4th sack of the season and 5th sack of the season today. One of those was like a half sack, though, he shared with Anzalone. The Lions, though, on offense still struggle today. Their first drive, they did a 4-and-out on their first drive. And then on their second possession, holy crap, the Lions decide to kick a field goal on 4th down, and Badgley gets his first field goal as a Lion, and it was a 40-yarder, and it looked good. He looked good. He's a young dude. I didn't realize he was so young. But then the Cowboys marched down the field, and even though Dallas was moving the ball, the defense didn't look that horrible. Dallas was just making the plays, but the Lions' defense stood strong when they needed to, and they held the Cowboys to just a field goal too, so they tied it up 3-3. After one reception of the day, St. Brown was ruled out with a concussion. He seemed okay when he stood up, but I know right now that there's some serious sensitivity when it comes to concussions around the league, so it looks like he is entering the concussion protocol, so he will miss, or he did miss the rest of this game, and next week is up in the air when they play Miami. But on the next significant drive, the Lions score a 53-yard field goal, so they took the lead, and they had the lead, I want to say the entire half, right? Yeah, the entire half. They were winning 6-3 after that field goal, the 53-yarder. And then with 1:45 left in the half, a huge hit on Noah Brown by Kirby Joseph causes a fumble on the 4-yard line, and the Lions recover. This is amazing. You're like, sweet, because the Lions started on defense, so this is ideal. If they could score before the half, they get the ball right back after the half, and it's like, we're already winning 6-0, so if you could just capitalize on these drives, then it's like you're in control of the game, and Dallas has a lot of work to do. But that's not the case. The Lions decide to show mercy for some reason. Dan Campbell, usually an aggressive guy, decides to show mercy, and they pretty much just run the clock out by running the ball. I can't stress that enough. I disagree. The odds of a turnover that leads to points is extremely low with the amount of time that was left on the clock. So why not try to take the Cowboys out of it early? Like, why not get aggressive? Why not throw the ball deep? I know this is not Jared Goff's strength, but why not get aggressive? Why not run a 2-minute drill? Why not shove the ball down their throat? Why not score a freaking touchdown? You're the number 1 offense, supposedly. Like, why not flex your muscle a little bit? Because you never know what the second half is going to be in store for you. So it's like, when you have opportunities to score the ball, do it. And it just, that one boggles my mind a little bit. I wish they were a little bit more aggressive, but it doesn't matter because Lions get the ball after the half, and they'll just score the touchdown then, right? Nope. The Lions open the drive of the second half, and it ends with a horrible deep throw by Goff because he can't throw anything more than 15 yards. It was a bad choice, bad throw, and it ends up with an interception. Or was it? Looked like the ball may have moved. There wasn't even a review on it. I personally feel like it was an interception, but why not take an extra look at it? This isn't anything that Dan Campbell could have challenged because all turnovers are reviewed by the NFL, and apparently the NFL did not think there was anything worth reviewing over it. But it would have been great if there was an extra look at it. But, I mean, you can't expect the NFL to do anything because the officiating crew may or may not be on Jerry Jones's payroll, as everybody knows. Hutchinson does get his second sack on Prescott, who looked like he was falling down, but it really doesn't matter anyway because Hutch was going to get there. I want to say he had some good pressure today at some key moments. That definitely forced the Cowboys to punt the ball. Lions got the ball back. Goff throws his version of a bullet and to Khalif Raymond, and he almost didn't catch it. Like he bobbled it a little bit. That gives them their first third down conversion of the day. Excuse me. And then I thought the Lions scored a touchdown on a play to Brock Wright, but the refs marked it short. If it wasn't a touchdown, then they were just inches short. That's what she said. But the refs spot the ball at least a yard away. No challenges on this play. There's another one where I wish Dan Campbell did challenge the spot of the ball at least. It did not look like a touchdown on the replays that the broadcast was showing, but he was definitely a lot closer than what the refs were giving him credit for. But the Lions, they don't even bat an eye. They're just like, we'll just have Jamal Williams running in, who's been pretty reliable when it comes to carrying the ball. He's had 600 carries without a lost fumble, but that ends today. Right on the goal line. Perfect timing. I'm not mad at Jamal Williams. It does suck. Like, he's dependable, so it's like 10 out of 10 times you give him the ball again, but and it was a hell of a streak, over 600 carries without a lost fumble. But yeah, it happens. It wasn't our day today as far as turnovers go. We will get to that in just a minute. But there was an also stop by Anzalone and Elliott, forcing Dallas to punt again. Like I said, Detroit's defense was pretty solid all day. They were just put in some horrible positions due to some turnovers. Under 10 minutes, and the Lions are still losing 10-6. So my dog wants to go outside. We will take a quick timeout. I'll be right back. All right, so we're back. So yeah, under 10 minutes, the Lions are still losing 10-6. And then there was an offensive play where Jackson was running the ball, and then he was literally suplexed by the Dallas Cowboys. Man, I didn't grab his name. But it was like, it wasn't just a tackle. Why wasn't there a penalty on this? I have a little bit of a problem on this one. How is that a clean hit? I've seen it called for penalties before. Doesn't matter, though. Lions just get back up and run their next play. Goff decides to end the drive early with an interception, his second of the day. 3 total turnovers for the Lions and 2, back-to-back possessions too. The Cowboys drive down the field, and Ezekiel Elliott pretty much puts the game away with a touchdown. Cowboys are now winning 17-6 at this time with under 3 minutes remaining in the game. Goff tries to show that his fumble skills are just as strong as his interception skills. He pretty much hands the ball off to Dallas with what's technically a fumble. Jared Goff, 3 turnovers, 25 snaps at this point. Dak Prescott and company put the topper on the cake with a touchdown pass to taking Dallas to a 24-6 lead with 1:55 remaining. At this point, it's over. I don't know what they're doing. You might as well show mercy on yourself and just start kneeling the ball away. But instead, the Lions try to do something with their lives, and Goff fumbles again, his 4th turnover of the day, the Lions' 5th turnover. All 5 of the turnovers came in the second half, which that's pretty horrible. The last time the Lions have had 5 turnovers and a half was 2001, and if I had to guess, it was probably Ty Detmer when he played in Cleveland, when the Lions played against Cleveland, because I know Ty Detmer played in Cleveland. I think he had like 6 or 7 interceptions that day. Goff finished 21 of 26, so that sounds good, right? 228 yards. That sounds modest, right? No, but he was sacked 5 times. And, of course, the 4 turnovers. He had a quarterback rating of 71.2. Jamal Williams carried the ball 15 times for 79 yards, and of course he had his fumble. Khalif Raymond led the team with 5 receptions for 75 yards. Brock Wright and TJ Hockenson both finished with 4 receptions. For defense, Okudah had a whopping 15 tackles. I was really impressed with Okudah today. He was all over the field, and he was physical too. There were a couple times when he put on some strong hits. I really liked seeing that from him. Elliott finished with 9 tackles. Rodriguez had 4. I didn't hear much from Rodriguez today. Rodrigo! And Anzalone finished with 7 and half a sack, where Hutchinson finished with 3 tackles and 1.5 sacks. This gives him 4.5 on the year. I would probably call it 5. This puts him, I think the leader had 6 sacks on the season. So this puts Hockenson near the top of the leaderboard as far as sacks on the year. Of course, you would like those spread out a little bit more, but statistically, he's coming through, and I thought he had a great game today too. Badgley, jumping ahead a little bit. My takeaways from the game: defense looked solid, especially early, and they're not 100% responsible for giving up those 24 points. Not when the offense gives up the ball 5 times in one half. So things are hopefully trending upward for the defense now. If they could just get that number one offense back together, everything would be good. St. Brown, I think, is going to be okay. He looked okay getting up, so this is just precautionary. I feel, regardless, I do hope he's okay, but I would not blame his departure for anything. And, of course, DeAndre Swift did not play today. Those guys did not play, 2 games ago, and the Lions still got the job done. Was that against Seattle? They scored a ton of points without Swift and St. Brown. So, I think. But, of course, Hockenson elevated his game, too, so during that time. But back to what I've taken away from today's game was Badgley was 2 for 2 with a long of 53. He also had that 40-yard field goal. He looked confident and solid, so I hope the Lions quit screwing around and just sign this dude long-term. Of course, this is just one game, but it's one game better than we've had, because what other kicker has shown this amount of consistency? And sadly, it's only one game, so you can barely call it consistency. Regardless, he looked like he knew what he was doing, and that's good enough for me, especially when you're looking at the previous 5 games. The Lions do drop to 1-5 today. Also, Goff is not the quarterback of the future. I know he's part of, and they're not going to be the number one offense after today. You can't get shut out, no touchdowns 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks if you count the bye week. But you can't not score touchdowns and still have the number one offense. These games are happening way too frequently where he has multiple turnovers, multiple sacks. He continues to make poor choices, and he hangs on the ball for too long. Now, some of those give credit to the offensive line. I know Skipper gave up a sack there, but still, overall, he's got to make better and quicker decisions, and his arm accuracy has improved. I'll give him that, but overall, Goff is not the guy. But the good news is that this year's draft, or the 2023 draft, is supposed to be deep with quarterbacks. So, hey, keep losing, Rams. Keep losing, Lions. We will, have a better year next year. Also, Campbell, Coach Dan Campbell, who I like, but this isn't a league based on likes. It's not a popularity vote. He's got to win more than 3 to 5 games this year. If he can't do that, he's not our guy. This team on paper is so much better than last year. Our schedule has turned out to be even easier than projected. I think we had something like the 4th or 5th easiest schedule, maybe even the 6th easiest schedule. But now you look at teams like Green Bay playing like garbage. The Giants, I feel like, are having false success. My opinion, I know that's a hot take. And I'm not saying that they're not building towards something better, but they're not one of the better teams in the league, but record-wise they are right now. They're beatable. We play them this year. Jets having success. They might be trending upwards as well, but they're not as good as their record shows. We're just as good as the Jets on paper, but yet somehow they have a better win record than we do. Chicago is garbage. Minnesota is another team that's having false success. They are benefiting from playing in our division right now. But still, the Lions can't win more than one game so far. So by the end of the year, if the Lions cannot win more than 3 to 5 games, I will say the over-under should be 6 or 7, just like Vegas had predicted. If the Lions can't reach that mark, Dan Campbell's not our guy. I'm sorry. I don't need 6 years. I don't need to be rebuilding for 50 years in a row to know this. I knew Matt Patricia wasn't our guy after 2 years. I don't know why they brought him back to fire him 4 weeks into his 3rd season. But regardless, Dan Campbell is not our guy if they can't win more than 5 games. And this is nothing personal. I think he's a cool dude. I like seeing him. I like him as our coach. But overall, he's got to get the entire team playing a full 60 minutes of football. And they might not be as far away as their record shows, but it shouldn't be that hard. Our missing piece right now is our head coach and our quarterback. Those are our 2 pieces that we're missing right now. And like I said, I still like him, but it is time to start. He's got to turn around. Otherwise, the fans are going to jump ship first, but sooner or later, the locker room is going to jump ship. So if they don't turn around, the end of the season is going to get ugly if they can't start getting some wins together. Good news is Lions come back home next week, where they've won a whopping 1 game so far. Their only win of the season was at home. They haven't won a game on the road yet with Dan Campbell as a coach. They're matched up against the Dolphins. Tua should be playing, depending on how they do tonight against Pittsburgh. I know they're playing tonight, Sunday Night Football. But it really doesn't matter, because if the Lions let a 3rd-string quarterback like Zappe walk all over them 2 weeks ago when they were in New England, it really doesn't matter who the quarterback is, and that shouldn't be much of a storyline regardless. Miami is allowing 104 rushing yards per game and 256 yards passing per game. I think these are pretty modest numbers. I think Miami has a pretty solid defense. Lions offense better come with that number 1 offense mentality next week. Another good news is Miami is only rushing for an average of 81 yards. All of this is before tonight's game. So if whatever happens against the Steelers, I have no idea about. But they're running for 81 yards a game. So that's not a strong running game. So running should not be an issue, or stopping the run should not be an issue. However, they are throwing for, excuse me again, they are throwing for 302 passing yards a game. So Amani Oruwariye played pretty solid today. He had that fumble recovery from the hit from Joseph. He wasn't exposed as much. Dallas has some good receivers, CeeDee Lamb and did Gallup even play today? I don't remember. But their quarterback, sorry, my brain is scrambled. Their tight end, he's pretty solid too. So overall, I don't feel like Dak Prescott and the receivers beat the Lions. I think the Lions beat the Lions today. 5 turnovers. 5 freaking turnovers. I'm not going to say the Lions should win next week, but I think it should be competitive. And as long as their offense shows up, I think there's reason to have hope. Tua, I hope his brain is okay. I respect him, but I'm not afraid of him. He's beatable. The Dolphins are beatable. Just like every other team, the rest of our schedule, minus the Buffalo Bills, every team on our schedule right now is beatable, and that is a game that we should be able to handle. Other than that, that's it for me this week. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lions Hangover. Sorry I didn't get to anything over the bye week. I was really hoping to do something a little bit different, but life gets in the way sometimes, so sorry about that. I will be back next week after the game against Miami, hopefully with a little bit more of a cheerful attitude and a Lions victory. I will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to find me on all of the social medias at Detroit Lions Hangover Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course YouTube if you are seeing my beautiful bluish green, sometimes gray eyes. Adios, muchachos.